Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. Yeah, I'm happy to be with you. It's been a good week, I hope for you anyway. I hope the upcoming weekend will be just as wonderful and exciting as it possibly can be. I know life is difficult sometimes, and maybe you're struggling with some issues, but that's okay. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a new day coming. And the verse I wanted to talk to you about really kind of says it that way. Continuing in my discussion with encouraging words from the Gospel of John, I'd like to read today John chapter 6. Interesting little story here. I'll pick it up at verse 30 and go to 35. So here's what it says. They, meaning the crowd and people around, said, "Show us a miraculous sign if you want us to believe in you. What can you do? After all, our ancestors ate manna while they journeyed through the wilderness. The scriptures say Moses gave them bread from heaven to eat." And Jesus said, "I tell you the truth. Moses didn't give you bread from heaven. My Father did. And now he offers you the true bread from heaven. The true bread of God is the one who comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." "Sir," they said, "give us that bread every day." And Jesus replied, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry again. Whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." You know, a lot of people want God to prove himself and then they'll follow him. And I understand that, but I think it's kind of sad. I think it, I understand it because we're asking people to give their lives to something they cannot physically see or physically touch. It's not to a cause per se. It's not to an idea. It's to a being who is more real than you and I are. And a lot of people want proof. I don't know if they really want proof or they just really want to disbelieve and continue like they are. And sometimes God, in fact, does that very thing. Something happens in their lives that they cannot explain. Now, does that change their hearts? Mm, Sometimes. Most of the time, it really doesn't. Or it might change it for a season. And then before long, they're back to where they were. You see, I don't follow God because he does miracles in my life every day. Actually, he does, but that's a different issue. I follow God because I know he loves me and I know he wants the best for me. And because I know he removes my sin. Now, if I followed God because of miracles, I'd have to have miracles. They referred here to the Hebrews eating manna in the desert with Moses. And while that came from God, and they knew that, and it sustained them, and they knew that, it only took a few days for them to start complaining about it. Even if God works a miracle right in front of your eyes, your nose, as they say, every day, you still would start complaining if that's all you've got to believe in the Lord. And so Jesus goes on to say, well, really, it's not the manna you need. It's the bread that comes from down from heaven, from God, that gives life, it says, and gives life to the world. It's the bread that gives life. It doesn't mean physical life, though that's part of it. It means life in the fullest way that you can explain it or understand it. And so they said, well, hey, we want this bread. You know, people who want a sign always will take a sign. Doesn't necessarily mean anything to them, but they'll always ask for one. But then Jesus says this, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry. Whoever believes in me will never be thirsty, ever again. What does he mean? Whoever comes to me. Well, Jesus has been gone from this earth for over 2,000 years almost, I guess. But he's still here. We can't come to Jesus in the physical world, but we can come to Jesus in the heart world. We can give our lives to him. We can recognize that he is the life force of all eternity. We can come to the understanding that God knows more than I know. And because of that, he will show me the best things for me in this life. He will teach me how to be content, whether I have a little or a lot. He will teach me how to be loving, whether I'm loved by someone or not. He'll teach me how to be compassionate, whether I feel like it or not. He'll teach me how to be graceful, even in the midst of anger. You see, when we come to Jesus, that's what he said, if anyone comes to me, then he gives us all of the sustaining stuff that we need to exist in an abundant way of life. But you have to come to him to get it. He won't just throw it down at your feet. You have to ask him into your life and be willing for him to change you. Now, some of you have already done that a long time ago. And you know what I'm talking about. You know the truthfulness of this, that he says, whoever believes in me will never hunger and never thirst, because I give life to the world and to you. Some of you know that. Many of you, perhaps. Some of you are still a little, maybe. Some of you are still in the hoping stage. And some of you are not in the I'm convinced stage. But that's all right. Doesn't matter where you are, matters where you're going. So I invite you today, the rest of this week, upcoming the weekend, that you think about coming to Jesus. Let him rule in your life so that you might reflect this wonderful life that only he can give to everybody you meet and to yourself. Well, thanks for listening, folks. I appreciate it. I know you don't have to do this. I appreciate you taking some of the time to just listen. God bless you. If you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do everything we can as fast as we can to help meet that need. So until tomorrow, I'll talk to you again.